Hello, today's guest is Anat Peri, founder and CEO of Training Camp for the Soul and creator of the TCS Method Certification. Anat works with coaches, healers, transformation leaders who are ready to deepen their capacity to hold space for real, lasting change. Her work focuses on helping practitioners navigate complex client dynamics, release trauma patterns, and guide people through emotional and subconscious transformation with clarity, confidence, and integrity. What I appreciate most about Anat's approach is that it's not just about learning more tools, it's about becoming the kind of leader who can facilitate true transformation without burning out, over-giving, one of the big problems we often have, or losing themselves completely in the process. I'm excited to explore what really means to lead at that level. Anat, welcome to Leading with Purpose.
Thank you, Mark. Thanks for having me. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. And I've already gotten to hear a little bit, but for those who aren't familiar, I'm curious what got you on this path? How did you get started on this journey of transformation for yourself?
Yeah, well, believe it or not, because I look younger than I am, it was 21 years ago that I started my self-development journey. Prior to that, I think I always had an interest in the way that our mind works. I wanted to major in psychology. I just didn't want the 8 years of traditional schooling.
I relate to that.
Yeah, it was just not my learning style. I'm more experiential. So in my mid 20s, jumped into an in-person experience, which, back in those days was in a big, hotel room with a few hundred people. And a lot of it was mindset work and NLP, which is definitely valuable and part of the experience, but not what creates full lasting transformation. Now, granted, at the time, I didn't realize that. I didn't come in there and say like, oh, this is missing some parts. I thought it was the Holy Grail. And I was just in awe of witnessing people just have their first aha moment, which aha moment now I know is just stage one of healing in 5 stages. It's just the awareness. It's the light bulb moment to, oh, that's why I am the way that I am, or that's the thing that's keeping me stuck. Back then I used to think that was it. And it sucked me in a good way of wanting to continue to explore and get to know myself. And I spent years in leadership roles of learning to coach and facilitate inside of this one organization. And I became someone that had a ton of awareness, knew a lot, definitely developed great skills for listening and asking questions. But my life was a fucking mess. Can I curse?
Yeah, be real.
I had no idea that I didn't love myself, but I had no self-love, no connection to my body or my emotions, lived completely in my logic, in my head, was very codependent in my relationships, and felt like there was a constant windstorm. Like, I'd say it was more like a black hole in my chest that I would collapse into that can never be filled anytime I was by myself. Anytime I was alone, that was the feeling that I was like running from. And so as much as possible, I avoided spending any time with myself, or if I did, I was constantly distracting myself. And, this was my reality for honestly the first 8-9 years of my self-development journey. So it's like, what the heck, like here you are developing, growing, but not making any real movement in it. And it was at that point that I hit my rock bottom, left a 5-year relationship, left New York City where I was living with $2,000 to my name, $40,000 in debt, most of which was self-development. No car, no job, one friend in California. And that was 13 and a half years ago. And I was very aware that whatever I thought I knew at that point was bankrupt. Was clearly not giving me the result if like I had no self-love and no clue. And it humbled me to, those of us that grow up on the Northeast, we have a bit of this like cocky attitude of like, oh, like if I can make it here, I can make it anywhere. Just like push through and force through and just do it and just go and just be a hustler. And I was a hustler. But this experience humbled me to stop hustling and to surrender and to just start listening and letting go of thinking that I knew what was best for me. And it led me down this journey of discovering, from going into mindset and NLP to the world of somatics, the world of like breath work and meditation and yoga and plant medicine. And like, oh my God, I'm in my body for the very first time. What is this thing? And then thinking that was the Holy Grail to a year later realizing, and I'm still in the same patterns. I'm still attracting the same type of men. I'm still uncomfortable with myself. Nothing has changed yet. And then I met my mentor, who was a body-mind psychologist for 40 years at that point. He's no longer with us, but boy, was he a brilliant man. And he said to me, "You're different. You're here for finishing touches. You know a lot." I'm like, oh my God, yeah, I have so much awareness, but I just don't know what to do with it. And the work I did with him was the inner child work, was really bridging the gap between, yes, we have awareness. Yes, we need somatics and emotions and to feel all that. But there's also the subconscious. There's also what we learned from mom and dad. There's just so many facets and layers. And it was my first time experiencing that transformation is not a walk in the park on a beautiful sunny day with a lot of popcorn aha moments.
Yep.
But it's more of a walk through a burning forest where you are feeling the heat. You are feeling things that you never wanted to feel before. And there's some dragons to slay. And to me, that was like, okay, I'm in it right now. I'm definitely shedding some stuff. And on the other side of that, the level of inner peace and freedom that I experienced was what I'd been seeking my whole life. And he said to me, "You have a real gift. Would you ever want to do what I do?" And I was like, nah, I don't want to sit in an office and see people. Like I thought to myself in my mind, like, no, I don't want to be seeing people for an hour in an office every day. It just didn't appeal to me. But I just wasn't ready. I went off and I traveled for 8 months, wanted to be by myself, enjoy my own company for the first time, and then was ready, was awakened to, I'm really called to guide people to experience what I've been seeking at that point for 10 years. Mm. That's when I met Mark and Shannon, actually. They are my first business coaches, and I started just coaching and helping people to move through what I moved through, not ever expecting to be where I'm at today, which is having a certification program where I'm mentoring others in a method. But a year into it, I had clients say to me, "I want to learn to do what you do." And I heard it for 3-4 years before I really paid attention, listened, and took action on it. And so here I am now, 11 years later, and I, still work with some private clients. I'm still in the healing work of it with others and myself. Every layer.
It's a constant journey.
Yes. At every level, there's a devil, right? Mm-hmm. But really loving that I get to now pass on a proven method that is very complete to coaches that are struggling. I was just guest teaching for this woman in her community of practitioners, and it's astounding how many of them, and I think you said this in the beginning, lack the are in overgiving, are coaching, feeling like, well, I'm not doing enough, and I need to make sure that they get something, and they're just in this overcompensating and doubting that they could be the coach, the practitioner, to help their client actually have lasting transformation. Mm-hmm. And it took them through my method, through the experience. And I took one of the women through it while everybody else witnessed. And that woman was she was blown away by how much she has been running from things, running from her own emotions, and like where that is blocking her in her work and supporting others. And so, yeah, it's a gift and an honor to serve where I am today.
Mm. And it's interesting because you're talking a little bit about your method, but you emphasize mastery, not just methods. What would you say is the difference between knowing techniques and actually being able to embody the ability to guide someone through real transformation?
Yeah, it's a couple things. One is that you do need to have a certain level of embodiment yourself. And I know that's nothing new if you're listening to this, like, yeah, duh. But like what that actually means. Like this woman that I just guided on this call is a master, Reiki practitioner, healer, intuitive guide is how she calls herself. And she had to face the fact that like she's been, pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing and thinking like she's not doing enough when what she really has been avoiding is actually feeling what's there. And so I don't even know that people really get the depth of what embodiment is, that you as a practitioner get to hold for yourself. Because when you do, things just become easy. And then also mastering and knowing a complete process so that you're not wondering when you're in a session, will I be able to guide my client to something that lasts here? You know it, and you can relax back in ease, knowing that you have that process. There's no guessing game. Like even when I started out, a lot of this was channeled through me. Like, yes, I had great mentors and I learned parts and pieces, but I used to go into sessions and there was just so much trust in my system that like, I just need to get out of my own way and that like divine power is going to channel through me. But at moments I felt like I was solving riddles. But I allowed myself to be so surrendered to that the method really like came through me. And that's what my clients don't have to do anymore. My students is they don't have to solve it. They don't have to be in that. They can very clearly see the process and the steps and what stage a client is at and where to go with them and what the depth is. And so there's ease, there's confidence, and then therefore they're not getting in the way.
It's very interesting because I remember when I was in my 20s, I loved giving massage, and everybody's like, you should become a massage therapist. But then you had to go learn how to do it the proper way. And I was always afraid of like, everybody just compliments me because it's just natural. Now I'm gonna have to go there and like do it technically. And I hope that, it doesn't take away. And then I'm like, oh no, I just learned all these things. Now I have a system and a structure. And so I understood what I was doing. I understood my natural gifts and I could apply them much, much better. So I love that, again, that's one of the big problems that you help many coaches address, which is that confidence thing. So many people are like, who am I? Or, can I really make money with my gifts? And can I really make a change? Can I really help other people? So I love that you're addressing that. You also brought up another one that I had mentioned earlier, which is around the overgiving and the overwhelm, the being stretched too thin. I'm just curious, they're getting drained by the depth of the work that people are doing. What have you found is essential for holding powerful space for others without burning out or overextending yourself?
Yeah. So knowing and learning how to self-regulate in the moment. A lot of people think that they are I do self-care. Yeah. No, you do self-repair. You are burning it out. You are overwhelming your system. You are disconnected from yourself in a session. You're so in it, in the other client's world, that you've lost the connection to your breath, your body, your energy. And then after the session or after 3 sessions, because you have a busy day and it's 6 p.m., you're collapsed on the couch or you're taking a bath, and you call that self-care. And I call that self-repair, which, hey, is better than nothing. Yes. Right. But to avoid that need for self-repair, what it looks like in every single moment, even right now, as I'm speaking to you, caring for my nervous system, regulating in the moment, staying connected to my breath and my body right now, keeps my field, my energy, my presence here open, and stabilizes me and builds enough of that, the word is slipping me, resiliency to support a client. So that's one part of it, is like your part as a practitioner is, are you able to move your own energy, to stay connected to your own energy and breath as you are holding a client in their session, so that you're not in your head or totally out of body in their world. And what happens with those that practitioners that don't feel confident or trying to prove themselves, trying to make sure the client gets somewhere, because they feel that in every session there has to be some kind of win. I have to get them somewhere. And they make up the idea of what that's supposed to look like, is that they disconnect from themselves and they go into that force and that push. And that force and that push is actually what is keeping them from, what's keeping the client from having the shift that they're ready for. Because you're no longer holding a space and a field for them to move through whatever they're ready for. You are now trying to do it for them. So it's exhausting you, and it's actually blocking the client. So understanding what it is to hold the field, and when you know and you have a process, like you were saying before about massage, I'm naturally gifted with my hands. Like I'm sure you are. There's just like in some past life, I was definitely a healer working, with my hands. But there's a difference between having a natural gift to a complete process, because there's, I'm sure, things that when you went, did you go to massage? Did you go to school?
Yeah.
That when you went, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I do this, but oh, wow. Now that I know that there's also this part and this part, okay, like that was the missing part of it that now completes the whole thing. So it's great. We all have natural gifts. And if you're missing even just one part of the process, that gift doesn't get fully, gets, I don't even know what the word for it. It falls incomplete is what happened. And because we're so reliant when we go into these spaces, if you don't have a complete process and you're reliant just on your gifts, you don't see the blind spots. Mm-hmm. You don't know what you don't know. And so then when it doesn't fully work, you disconnect from your gift and you get into your head and you go into force and doubt and overcompensation. And so this takes that guessing game out, where you get to bring your natural gifts, and then you also get to strengthen in the parts that are necessary to create lasting transformation that may not be one of your gifts, but becomes part of the process.
Mm-hmm. I love the holistic approach that you're looking at for healing, not just for the client, but for the practitioner to be optimal to help the client, and also to be optimal so that they can continue existing and performing and everything else. And I know that your work includes somatics, inner child work, and subconscious reprogramming. For someone who senses there's more going on beneath the surface with their clients, what's the first shift that they need to make so that they can listen and respond better?
Hmm. Well, actually, I'm going to give you the steps here, the stages of healing, because it falls right into that. Stage one is awareness. And when you hear that, Mark, I'm going to put you in the hot seat. What do you think that is?
What do I think awareness is?
Yeah. If I was like, okay, your first thing is like working with a client in awareness. What would you imagine awareness entails?
Being awareness of the connection and the energy, both that we're feeling together and what I'm seeing and recognizing in the client.
Yeah, perfect. So that's part of it, right? It's where are they? What's their current state of their nervous system? Are there protectors that are up? Are there gatekeepers that are there? Like how present are they to being even in their body? And then also the awareness of, well, what are the beliefs that are coming up, and where are you holding that in your body? And so there's depth to go in this stage. And if someone is in resistance, so it's like you uncover the like, okay, well, we get you in your in connection to yourself. Kind of like think about a surfer. They get to the beach, and I'm not talking about Florida, nice warm waters. Let's talk about California, Pacific Coast, freezing
cold water, big waves.
Yes. You can't just run into the water. You got to stretch. The surfer stretches and they put on a wetsuit to keep them warm. And so you want to think of this stage of awareness as the client yourself or as a practitioner of they're in that stage of just stretching and getting familiar with what is showing up right now in the field, what's showing up right now in my system, where am I at currently, and warming up the system by putting on that wetsuit. And so there's a lot to listen for there, not just what they're saying to you, but where you feel that they're open and not open. So that's stage one.
Beautiful. And you said there's 5 different stages, but that's what allows them to be in a place where then they can listen so that they're better listening to the client and being aware of the situation that's going on.
Yeah. And it's always, and even though you're moving through a process, you're moving through it with you're building upon it, I should say. So you're always still holding that field of awareness as they're continuing to move through and seeing if at any point they need more stabilization in that. Kind of like, okay, well, the surfer finally went and got into the water, which is stage 2. Stage 2 is the somatic part. It's think of the water as actually the ocean of your emotions. You got to get in the body and you got to feel the emotions. The emotion is energy in motion, just like every wave. And what happens a lot of times between stage 1 and stage 2 is there's some gatekeeper. There's something keeping them from going into it and actually riding the wave that's there. And so like this woman that I was just guiding, she was like, I'm super resistant. She's like, what's there is a lot of anger and sadness, and I'm super resistant to it. Like, oh, hell no. The gatekeeper said, hell no. And I say, I'm like, well, stage 2 acceptance as a practitioner. I'm like, well, you got to even accept that, like, what's there right now is resistance. So I'm like, great, be resistant. Let's ride that wave. And had her just express that. And she's like pushing against it. She's pushing and she's pushing and she's pushing. She's resistant. She's holding it. She's pushing with her hand. She's and I'm like, yeah, keep going. And I'm chill. I'm like, yep, that's what's there. Yep, keep going. And what happened within about 45 seconds or so, maybe a minute, is she couldn't hold it back anymore. Because when you feel what's actually there, even resistance, your nervous system is going to process it through. And then the emotion showed up, and then the sadness, and then she just could not hold back the tears.
Mm.
You see how easeful that was? Where if you don't know that, you'd be like, oh, okay, they're not ready. Oh, yes, so you're resistant. So tell me more about that. Let's talk about that. No, there's nothing to talk about. Let's get in the water. We're not going to talk about, do you think I'll be able to surf this wave or not surf this wave? You're going to be like, just get in the water. You stretched. You got your wetsuit on. Let's meet the doubt and the resistance, right?
Yeah.
And then she got to ride that wave of emotions, of sadness that was there. And in this stage, it's so important that we let go of that there's anything wrong, that there's something to fix or to change, that you could learn to observe the sensations, which is the energy, and name those sensations, and then allow yourself to go deeper with, well, what's the expression of it? Well, I'm sad. And to literally emote it, express it like a 3-year-old would. And your job is to just hold that child and validate. You got kids. What worked when they were kids and they were upset? Was it trying to talk to them about it, or just saying, come here, let me hold you. It's okay. It's okay to feel that way. So that's stage 2, is learning to accept and be with what is without trying to fix it. Because when that wave comes, you could question, why is it this size? Or I don't know that I want this wave, but then what happens? You get
come back.
Yeah, you get back with it, and then you're starting over again. As opposed to riding it, you learn that you could actually move through an emotion in 90 seconds. Body can just share an emotion in 90 seconds when there's no resistance to it. And then what opened up for this woman was she started to hear the voice of her inner child. She started to hear the beliefs that are creating that sadness. I'm not good enough and I'll always be alone. And all these memories started to pop up for her where this came from. And that gets us into stage 3. So when you do this well, it just naturally moves into the next stage. There's no like, so when do I go? When do I check off the next box?
Mm-hmm.
It just emerges in the system. And stage 3 is the getting to the root. It's dealing with the subconscious, because you could feel all the feels. Like I spent years in the feels and years in the mind trying to understand, right? Stage 1 of the awareness, and let me feel all the feelings. But if you could get addicted to that. I know people that are like, oh, I love doing breath work. Why? Oh man, I have the best releases. But then you're addicted to, okay, something that is helping you release, but you're not actually completing the transformation, because you could have a good emotional release, but if you don't know the beliefs that are programmed in the subconscious around that, then you're keeping the beliefs are the script, which means you're going to go out into the world the next day and you're going to act the same way. You're going to reinforce that script again. You're going to reinforce all those emotions that you moved through. You're right back in it. And so it's so important, stage 3, that we uncover, okay, you moved through the energy in the body, but what's the subconscious holding here? Oh, all these beliefs of, I'll always be alone. I'm never good enough. No one's ever going to support me. And the getting to the root is the exploration of the learning from mom and dad. Where did you learn this? Whose energy is this? Is it mom? Is it dad? Is it what you saw, what you heard, or what you felt from them? Is it how they made you feel? Did you copy or did you rebel from it? And starting to revisit, and again, you're not going to do this with a big T trauma, but safely revisit the times when you were in that scene and you were imprinted in that way and what you actually needed.
Mm.
So what was interesting with this woman is that it was her dad. But the problem is that if we start with dad If a client comes to you and their issues and challenges are related to their relationship or the world or their career, others, and you actually go to support them through that, they will never be able to hold it. It's like taking a brand new surfer and saying, we're going to Bali with the big kahuna waves. They're not going to be able to surf that. It's too much. And everything related to father is something that lives outside of you. Dad wasn't you. He was the first love of your life. That wasn't self-love. Wasn't mom. Wasn't connected to you. And so you can't control others in the world. And so there's a lot of heartbreak, there's big emotions there.
Okay.
And so something else to recognize that's important is that you always start with the foundation, self, aka mom. You and mom were connected, umbilical cord. I am mom, mom is me, mom is your foundation. How she's your role model for yourself. And so even though she brought up, oh, this was dad, I said to her, yeah, and where was mom? Where was mom when dad was yelling at you? Oh, mom was hiding. Yeah. And what did you need from mom? And she started to see where the way that she's been relating to herself with this resistance, with this wall, with this, I'm not allowed to feel what's there, is exactly the way that mom was with her. Mom wasn't there for her. She needed mom to come and hold her and tell her, it's okay, I'm here, you're safe, and I'm not going to let him talk to you that way. And she saw where she put up this barrier between her and her mom. And so you start to uncover that layer. That's the getting to the root. And then going into stage 4, reparenting and rewiring. And the reparenting is like, especially when it comes to self and mom, well, if mom is your role model for self, then to reparent that is to give yourself what you never got from mom. And so her learning that her first work to lay down a new foundation is to learn to hold herself, and that it's safe to feel the emotions that are there and to be there for herself and to protect herself. And so she got to move and come up with these new ways of relating to herself, these new affirmations.
And that's the reparenting, you said?
Yes, that's the reparenting part. That's the reparenting of mother. Mm-hmm. Reparenting of father looks very different. And like I said, they can't go into it. You could work with a client for at least 8 sessions, at least 2 months, unless they've done a ton of work and they're so stable with themselves. And what's my check on that? I'm like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much can you say, Mark, that you are your own inner best friend, inner cheerleader, and inner nurturer? If you're like, oh, I'm at a 10, okay, great. Then your relationship with yourself is solid. You're ready for bigger stuff. On a energetic level, what does that look like? Well, if you know how to nurture yourself, it means you know how to feel your feelings, because your inner child is your emotions. You're not just trying to gaslight yourself and tell yourself that I feel good, I feel great, I'm fine, everything's okay, I'm going to be okay. You're not just telling yourself, you're holding yourself through that, which means you're moving energy, which means you're riding waves. You're actually getting into the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
And so mom waves, self waves are smaller. It's simple. It's learning to give yourself what you needed. It's the practice of that you're building your nervous system. You're building the capacity to handle the bigger emotions of father. Because here's the thing about dad. He either lived up to the experience you had the first time he held you. Remember the first time you held your son and your daughter? Were you not just exploding with so much love and like ecstasy?
Mm-hmm.
You were. And they felt that. And that was their first experience of feeling something outside of them. Mom is not outside of them. Mom is me. They don't see separation yet. Loving them. And you therefore become the role model for love in the world outside of them. And they hold you to this, like, I just want to keep feeling that.
Mm-hmm.
So every single person, whether you're a boy or girl, doesn't matter, male or female, we put dad up on a pedestal. We want to keep feeling that level of connection and love. But dads, they're not connected to their child the way a mom is. They're single focused. You know, when they're hunting, they need to hunt. They're not like mom juggling 10 things at home. It's just innately how we're built. And so if they don't know how to come back to that presence and that love and that time, like my father didn't know. My father was a great provider. My mom stayed home mom, dad worked, dad was great in that sense. But how much time did he spend with this little girl? How much presence did he give her one-on-one? Very little. So she never got to feel that thing, that initial love. So he broke my heart. So every father either lives up to it or he breaks your heart. And for this woman that I guided, her dad had horrible anger issues and would yell and say horrible, mean things, or she would hide under the couch. So there's bigger waves, bigger emotions. There's anger, there's grief there. So much. So you could imagine, can the system actually feel through and heal this? In the first session, if I took her there today, no way. No way. So reparenting father is building up the capacity in your system to feel that broken heart, to ride those bigger waves, and to know that when you feel that grief, that anger, that you heal that heart, that you know, because again, any emotion felt all the way through can be moved through in 90 seconds. And yes, grief and anger may have multiple waves of it, but eventually where a person gets to is that their heart is healed and is open again. And they could know, what I mean by heart is healed is I can feel big emotions like anger and grief and rage and disappointment, and know that I'm okay. Oh my God, I'm riding the wave. Oh my God, Mark, I'm riding the big kahuna wave right now. So then when I say, well, now let's go to Hawaii, you're like, let's go. And how this translates in the world is that a lot of people, because they haven't healed in that way, they haven't felt that yet, are walking through life guarded, protecting your heart, not being vulnerable, not being open, because they don't want to ever experience that again. And then they wonder why their relationships aren't successful. And they wonder why they can't be vulnerable with people or open themselves or trust people. And they go into, well, let me control people. Let me manipulate people. Let me overpower everyone. All survival strategies. As opposed to when you actually feel through this and you heal that original heartbreak, you now know that you can't control the world. Life is going to keep lifing at you. Can't control others. You may get your heart broken again. You'll have better discernment. You're gonna stand up for yourself and have boundaries and all that. Somebody may, let you down or reject you. But all it's gonna do is bring up that wave. And I rode that wave before, so my system is familiar with it. It's programmed in there, something that my nervous system can tolerate. I am resilient enough to handle that. And that's where the courage comes to live in life playing out big.
And is that stage 5 then? Is that the final stage?
This is still the opportunity of reparenting, right? Okay. I just gave you the context of what it is to reparent father versus mother. It's very different. Stage 5 is integration.
Mm-hmm.
And integration is and stabilization. And it's the longest stage. In one session, I can move someone through the first 4. And sometimes it won't be the first session. Sometimes it'll take a few. That's okay. But stage 5 integration is an 18-month journey. And it's to go for big parts of your identity, not the little things. Little things, sure, could be processed quicker. But if a big part of your identity is I'm a people pleaser, I don't know how to say no or set boundaries, and you finally heal and move through all that, to go from a lifetime of being that to being someone that asserts their no and their boundaries and doesn't feel shame or guilt about it and stands up for themselves, is about 18 months. And where that number came from was my mentor, 40 years of seeing that. And now I could tell you 11 years in, I have clients that will message me and be like, oh, you're right. It was about 18 months and it just clicked. And clicked where you look back and you're like, wow, I remember I used to be that way, but I don't remember, like I so don't feel that anymore. And so as a practitioner, it's so important to support our clients in remembering and what it is to cross that bridge from the old version of you to the new version of you. And I'm not talking about a bridge like the Golden Gate Bridge, solid. I'm talking about Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. And at moments, you're going to fall back. And when you fall back, you don't need to dig more or go do more or figure out more. You just need to recognize, oh, I had a moment of falling back, and how can I have compassion for myself and get back into alignment and remember the vision and the declarations and the affirmations of who I'm stepping into being. Mm-hmm. And then there's going to be moments that the bridge is super stable. And that's when you double down on taking actions in alignment with that new version of you. So as a practitioner, it's helping a client come up with all the different ways that they get to integrate this in the real world. This is active participation. It's not just, oh, okay, we finished our session, so I can count down now 18 months and I'll be good. No. You don't just sit back. It takes active participation to integrate it.
I appreciate being able to get through all the 5 stages and how deep you went into each of them. For those who are listening, who feel a call to go deeper into their work to create real, lasting transformation for their clients, while also feeling more grounded and confident in how they feel, how would you invite them to discern whether stepping into a deeper level of training like what you've created is the right step for them?
Yeah. If you find yourself burning out, dissatisfied in your work, doubting yourself, lacking that confidence, or simply not getting enough referrals. I built my whole business the first 3 years with no website, no social media, no sales page, no affiliates, to $500,000 because the work worked and the referrals came in. I just got a referral this week from a past client. It never stops. So you want to be the last practitioner, the last coach, healer, whatever, that they ever need to work with. Because that's who they're going to remember and that's who they're going to refer. And so to get to a place where it's effortless in sessions and effortless to grow your coaching business.
Mm-hmm. I've got 2 more questions.
Yeah.
One, for anybody who wants to follow up with you, we'll put all the information in the show notes, but tell us where we can find you.
I hang out on Instagram. If you follow me there, you're going to get a DM from me within a week because I love getting to know the human behind the follower. It's me. It's not a bot. It's not an assistant. It is me because I'm a wealth of resources, whether it's my own or someone else. So that's where I hang out and share my content.
At Anat Peri or?
Yep, Anat.Peri. I hang out. But you could always, find my work at trainingcampforthesoul.com. And, have a free giveaway for the audience here, and it's a PDF guide to be able to recognize in your clients and in yourself, or by the way, family members, what their bodyguards are. What are their safety strategies, their protectors that are keeping you from actually being with them, getting to work with them in a session, and some of the tips of how to get past the gatekeeper, so to speak. So it's a really great first step access for those of you that are looking to go deeper with your clients, or even recognize it in a discovery call and know what to say to get the gatekeeper out of the way and actually get the sale.
That's beautiful. And thank you for that gift. We'll again have the links in the show notes. One last question. This is leading with purpose. What does leading with purpose mean to you?
Leading with purpose to me means that even in the moments where I want to quit, I'm sure as entrepreneurs, we all have those moments where it just feels like we're swimming upstream, like we're going through an eye of a needle in our business and nothing seems to be clicking. There's a lot of output and not a lot of input coming, right? A lot of revenue coming. That in those moments, we keep our eye on the why, that purpose, that bigger purpose, and knowing that this is happening for you and that there's some version of you that needs to shed for that next expansion for you to fulfill the purpose on an even bigger level.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love it. Thank you so much, Anat. I really appreciate our connection, and thank you for the light that you're shining in the world. Any last words before we say goodbye?
Just remember, the only way to feel better is to get better at feeling.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, and thank you for listening. Please comment below. We'll make sure to respond to any comments, questions that you might have, and download that free gift from Anat. Keep shining your light. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Leading with Purpose. We hope today's conversation has inspired you to lead with purpose and make a meaningful impact. If you're ready to discover where you stand on your leadership journey, I invite you to take the Soulful Leadership Assessment. It's a powerful tool to help you align with your leadership style and your true purpose.